America and the Red Hulk are about to square off on the big screen, so it's only natural that they're about to square off in the comics too. This is Sam Wilson, Captain America #1. So yeah, obviously Red Hulk is in Captain America Brave New World, which comes out next month. So this is a new 5-issue miniseries that is basically meant to ride the coattails of the movie and put Sam Wilson and Red Hulk together. I'm actually kind of surprised that Sam Wilson doesn't have his own Captain America series right now. I mean, I feel like he had one not long ago. Hopefully if this book does well, they'll give him one again. Torrin Clark does awesome covers. He did them for Boom, he does them for DC, and as we see here, he does them for Marvel as well. Great work. From a story perspective, the way that they get Cap and Red Hulk together didn't blow me away, but this book does do something that really interested me. Early in the issue, Sam attends a birthday party for a black character, and there's like a barbecue, and the guests at the barbecue are almost exclusively black, and there's a bunch of superheroes there. Storm is there, Miles Morales is there, War Machine, etc. And you know, when I talked about Black Lightning #1 a couple months ago, I basically floated the idea of an all-black superhero team, like a Black Justice League, that would, in part, tackle issues that the black community face. And I knew that certain people would hear that idea and call it too woke, but seeing a scene like this in a Marvel book was really cool because it made me wonder if maybe a team like that, a situation like that, isn't as far-fetched as I maybe think it is. We can always hold out hope, I guess. Deadpool Wolverine #1 has a Frank Miller variant cover, which I looked at the other day and said, yep, that is a Frank Miller cover. Very Frank Miller-y. Not the most Frank Miller-y cover that I've ever seen, though. That spot is reserved for one of the All-Star Batman and Robin covers he did, like 15 years ago. Just Wonder Woman's ass for no reason. I think that was actually the name of the piece, Wonder Woman's ass for no reason. This is the main cover that they went with. But yeah, Deadpool Wolverine #1, obviously riding the coattails of the movie, but there's a history of Deadpool Wolverine stuff dating back years. They've got a great grumpy guy, funny guy chemistry. I was actually mildly worried about this issue when I picked it up, because it's written by Ben Percy. Now, Ben Percy is very good, but he was also the guy who wrote Sabretooth War, that storyline in the Wolverine ongoing last year, and it saw Sabretooth do some pretty graphic things just for the sake of being graphic, like he cut up some kids, Revenge of the Sith style. Thankfully, there's nothing like that in here, though. This book delivers on the fun, which was the main thing that I wanted it to deliver on coming in. It's what I want any Deadpool Wolverine story to deliver on, really. From a story perspective, I can't say that I'm hugely enticed to come back, but I'm not opposed to coming back. Either way, Deadpool Wolverine #1 is here if you like this sort of thing. Cable, Love and Nope. Look, I like the title to this. I really do. It's one of those gloriously silly titles. It's like Hot Tub Time Machine. The title is Cable, Love and Chrome #1. You know, Love and Chrome could actually have been the title to Revenge of the Sith, come to think of it. That's the one where Darth Vader is in love with Padme, and then he gets put in the suit at the end. It kind of works. So as a reminder, the deal with Cable is that he's Cyclops' son from the future, and he hops through the time stream fixing problems, basically. He has a techno-organic virus, which is gradually turning him into a machine. But in this story, he jumps into a timeline where a bunch of rebel types have the virus and are fighting against it, and he meets a lady. That's exciting. I might not have gravitated toward this book normally, but I took a look at it because it's written by David Pepose. I think that's how you pronounce that name. And Pepose was also the writer of the recent Punisher miniseries that Marvel did with Joe Garrison as the main character. I really enjoyed that, so I was hoping that he would have similar luck with Cable. The verdict is kind of still out for me on this one because it feels like they're just starting to get into the meat of the story, but I'm curious, so we'll see. The solicitation for this issue, I think, refers to Cable as Marvel's most extreme X-Man. Fittingly, that's one of the most 90s descriptions for anything that I've ever heard. Although, you know what, if you look at this cover by Ian Churchill, you can't really deny it. I mean, that looks extreme. I mean, he's mad. This all-new Venom book is a lot funnier than I initially expected it to be. Case in point, issue number 2, and the inclusion of a character that looks an awful lot like Gritty, the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers. Yeah, I'm not really into the NHL or professional sports at all, really. But I do remember the dust-up that Gritty caused when he was introduced several years ago as the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers. People basically went, ugh. And in this issue, there's like a wannabe super criminal character who is clearly modeled after Gritty and throws cheesesteak sandwiches at people. See, to me, that's just superhero comic book silliness at its finest right there. The gold coloring and, like, the blue that they're mixing in with the black on this Venom suit is taking some getting used to, but I am getting there. The mystery element in this book is kind of cool and fun. You basically got 3 characters investigating themselves because they're experiencing blackouts and they're wondering, well, am I Venom? Are you Venom? Who's Venom? The fight sequence between Venom, the Gritty guy, and the various wannabe supercriminals takes place in Times Square. Always neat to factor in a real-world location like that, but you know what? Aren't there, like, mascots and people in costumes wandering around Times Square at any given point? I mean, how do you know who's a villain and who's not? As we see in Ultimate Wolverine #1, this new version of Wolverine is a badass stone-cold killer. Which means he's really not all that different from the usual version of Wolverine that we get, really. So the twist for this book is basically, what if Wolverine was the Winter Soldier? The Winter Soldier is usually portrayed as a Russian super soldier assassin type who later joins the heroes in the Marvel Universe. So he's usually like an expert marksman with a robotic arm and stuff like that. But the idea here is that because he's Wolverine, he's even deadlier. That's a fine idea, I guess, but the global political scene in the Ultimate Marvel Universe is different than how it looks in the regular Marvel Universe and in the real world, quite frankly. So we spend much of this issue setting up how things are different and what the status quo is, and to an extent how this Wolverine is different. And as such, we don't really have a lot of time to get into the meat and potatoes of a story, something to really kick things off and get a plot moving. So, you know, I'm vaguely interested in what they're doing here, but I could have used more of a hook, something to pull me in for the next issue. So as many of you may know, the X-Men of this new Ultimate Universe are Japanese schoolgirls, which is really cool, I think. But as such, as far as this Ultimate Universe is concerned, you've got a lot of unused classic X-Men characters that are up for grabs. And some of them ended up in this Wolverine book. One of them, at least in this issue, is Nightcrawler. And there's a really, really cool action sequence where he uses his teleportation powers in conjunction with a firearm. I thought that was really cool. And you know what? Given my general distaste for guns, you've got to do a lot to impress me with a gun sequence. But this issue did it, so my hat's off to it. Yeah, I bought Rogue the Savage Land #1. Am I ashamed of that? No, but am I proud of that? Also no. Because, I mean, it's pretty obvious what this is. I mean, the litany of sexy variant covers kind of make it hard to miss. I believe one of the terms for it is cheesecake, i.e. use of PG-13 toned, sexualized female imagery to excite and entice male readers. This book is an excuse to put Rogue in a skimpy outfit, in an exotic location that also has dinosaurs. It's an exciting fantasy for, I guess, male fans to sort of insert themselves into. I guess I just wanted to see if there was going to be anything else to this, or if it was just going to blatantly and proudly be what it is. And I mean, there is a story here. You know, it's set after a classic issue of Uncanny X-Men, so it takes place in the past, and it kind of fills in a gap, I guess. I just don't have a lot of use for that, personally. Hardcore Marvel buffs probably will, but I don't. So for somebody like me who's not super entrenched in Marvel and X-Men continuity, this just kind of is what it is. And you know, I guess from a black and white perspective, there's nothing morally wrong with having a sexy book like this. I mean, pin-up style art is nothing new. I guess I would just hope that if you're picking up Rogue the Savage Land, you're also picking up books that are a little more... I'm struggling with the term I want to use here. What's coming to mind is creatively pure. But you know what? Hey, there's something to be said for selling comic books, so if this floats your boat, have fun. So as you guys may have seen, one of my resolutions for 2025 was to pay more attention to the Fantastic Four ongoing series, just because whenever I dip into it, it's been pretty good. Well, in the spirit of such things, this is Fantastic Four number 28, a prelude issue to the One World Under Doom event comic. So right now in the world of Marvel Comics, Dr. Doom is the Sorcerer Supreme, which basically means he has Doctor Strange's job, and I guess Doctor Strange's powers. And that's obviously the central premise to Marvel's next big event comic, One World Under Doom, which starts pretty soon, and is written by Ryan North, the same guy who writes this Fantastic Four series. So with North writing both books, and Dr. Doom, of course, perpetually being the arch-nemesis of the Fantastic Four, it was only natural for this Fantastic Four to kind of tee up One World Under Doom. So in this issue, Reed and Sue Richards are looking for a magic artifact that can basically help them fight back against Dr. Doom's magic. They go back in time. It's a whole adventure. The issue is decent. The chemistry between the characters is written very strongly. But my favorite part of the issue was a visual sequence that took place early on. So when we open the issue, Reed Richards is working hard to try and figure out where Dr. Doom is, because he's missing. And his wife Sue literally has to drag him away from his work. But of course, because Reed Richards is Mr. Fantastic and he's got the stretchy powers, his butt stays in his chair, but his body stretches upstairs through the house and out the door. I really liked that a lot. That's tremendous visually oriented writing, which of course is what you need for a comic book. I'm not always drawn to Marvel event comics, but given how good Ryan North has been with Fantastic Four these past couple of years, I may be keen to give it a look.